So I come outside to go somewhere, you see your tire's flat. It does not have to ruin your day. It could be a relatively quick process. So, as the kids say, buckle up, and I'm about to show you something. So, somewhere in this tire is a puncture. Most likely it's a screw. In all the years I've been doing this, almost every time I had a flat tire and it was a foreign object, it was a screw. Occasionally a nail, and occasionally a random piece of metal. Not once has it been a piece of glass. So the first thing you have to do is you have to find the object. The best way to do that is to put air in the tire and try and find where the air is leaking out. You need a high power pump. There's a lot of cheaper ones you can get. This one is a relatively high power pump. It can fill the tire almost as fast as the pump in the gas station. It was sold with a cigarette lighter plug, but what it always does is it burns out the cigarette lighter and the fuse. So I cut off the plug, and what I do is I just attach this to the battery. It doesn't matter which is positive or negative. It works either way. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to pump up the air in the tire. Recommended for a lot of these tires is 40, but just so we can see what's going on, I'll put it to about 50. But meantime, you need something to make the puncture more visible. Usually people use water with soap in it, so that's what I have here. And just spray it on places where you think are suspicious. Now I'm already seeing a nail here. That could possibly be it, but maybe not. No, it doesn't seem so. Just spray water around the edge of the tire. Now, if the puncture is anywhere here, this is not repairable. This section is relatively weak. It's only repairable if the puncture is somewhere on this section. Now, if you're doing it yourself, you probably want to stop at the recommended tire inflation pressure and not go over, because if you go over, there's a tendency for the tire, if it's really weak, to split. It's just a very loud bang, and it could be dangerous if it breaks in your face. So I don't recommend you go over the recommended pressure, especially if it's an older tire like this one. So I'm going to take this off and just inspect the edge of the tire, see if I see any area where there's a whole bunch of bubbles forming, showing airflow. But I don't see any. Now, if you got time, you feel like it, it's easier to do this if you lift the car up and spin the wheel around. But because I don't have a lift with me, I'm just going to drive the car and just drive it a little bit so the wheel spins so I can see the other areas of the tire. Right here you see all these bubbles. So here's the puncture, and there appears to be a piece of metal here. So it's useful to have a tool like this to pry or twist it out. This one appears to be a nail. Often it's a screw, so you have to actually twist it out. And there it is. You can either put it on your pocket, or you can throw it on the floor for it to cause you or someone else to get a flat tire again. So this is a cheap tire repair kit, easily available on eBay, Amazon, AutoZone, sometimes even tire stores and dollar stores and flea markets. These are called tire plugs. They're not patches. They go through the tire. This is called the glue. It's actually rubber cement. And these are the tools for applying the patch. So I'll show you how this works. It's relatively simple. This one is inserted first. Apparently it's to roughen the space, or to make it, or to widen it. I'm not really sure. It can be a fight if the puncture is relatively small to put this in. And while you're doing it, you'll see that you're making the puncture worse because you're making the hole bigger. This part can be tricky. If you try and pull this through this fork, you realize it doesn't really fit, but you don't want to bend this fork too much because it breaks relatively easily. So try to use a tool like this to pull it through without trying to separate the tines of that fork. And that's about what you need. Maybe pull it a little bit further so it's even. Now this stuff tends to evaporate kind of quickly, and it tends to run out if you overuse it. There's usually way more patches than there is cement. Sometimes you have to I have to wind up buying the cement separately, because when I thought I had left over, it was actually just an evaporated tube. So you may want to buy extra tube of cement. Doesn't really require that much. Probably the hardest part. Take this out. This is the screwdriver shaped one. It's kind of hard to use. There's also a T-shaped one. This is a little bit easier on your hands, but this is the one I happen to bring out today. So don't push it all the way in, otherwise it's going to go all the way into the tire. Leave it about halfway out. And in theory, when you pull this out, the patch plug remains. So you might want to have to twist it, otherwise just try and pull it straight out. It's supposed to just leave the plug inside there. Boom. Basically it's done. You can cut the excess off. If you're lazy, you could just leave it, because eventually the road will cut it off. This tire, if you look at it, has quite a few plugs. It probably has like 10 of them in there already. Someone might have called this tire dead a long time ago, not me. But you're ready to go. At this point, you can reinflate the tire to appropriate pressure and you're good to go.